Welcome back, everyone, to Coach Speak. And Joe Higgins alongside Wayne Dicken, coach of the Nelsonville-York volleyball team. Coach, last time we spoke, you were getting ready for senior night against Wellston. What a game that was for your team, and especially your two seniors, and Katie McKinney and Lexi Warren in particular. McKinney had a big kill that night. I mean, everybody powered up when she got that kill. A bunch of sets as usual. And then Lexi, the service night she had, 5 aces in a row at one point. I think it was 9 out of 11, 10 for the evening, something along them lines. Talk about that duo first and that night all as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think they could have asked for a much better senior night for those two, And in a season where we've had a lot of ups and downs, for them to go out with that statement game, I think it meant a lot to them. I know it meant a lot to me as a coach to see them play so well. Both of them stepped up. Yeah, we really got fired up when Katie got her kill. We've been telling her, like as a setter, when you're in the front row, you can hit that second ball. She's a good enough hitter. Like, I hate that she has to set all the way around because she's such a good hitter, and finally she was able to get up and get on top of one there. So we were really happy for her with that. And then Lexi was unbelievable. Both hitting and her serving. Yeah, like you said, I think it was 7 out of 9, 10 aces on the night. She single-handedly, I think, in that second set just or third set, I guess maybe, just completely took the game over there. So a great senior night for both of those, and I was really happy to see them go out on that note.
The energy in the gym, but for your team, the way they played just felt different. We talked a little bit about that body language and so forth, but it just felt more vibrant, more contagious. They all seemed to be getting into it. Did you notice that too, or did you? What do you think that was?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that it continues because it was for the first time this season. Even dating back to the first time we played Wells, this was the first time that I felt like we played up to our potential and took care of a game that we should have taken care of. It wasn't really close. The first set was close, but I think it kind of opened our girls' eyes. That second and third set, like, all right, like, time to stop messing around, and I'm hoping that carries on. I think senior night had something to do with it. I think the girls were playing with a lot of emotion there. And the slow start, not having a JV game before, that's kind of a different, puts a different feel on things. But, leading into tournaments, you're not going to have JV games anymore. So we're going to have to learn to play with that. But really that second and third set was the first time that I felt like all season, really, that we played up to our potential and we controlled what we needed to control. So hopefully that kind of turned the page for us and we can carry that to tournaments.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was a lot of fun to watch, and again, the energy level being that high. So your regular season is now in the books. Take us through how you thought this year went for you. Obviously, we've got postseason we'll talk about in a moment, but how it started for you and then how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it had ups and downs. We won the games I felt like earlier in the season that we should have won. We competed in the games that I felt like, maybe we were outmatched on the floor a little bit, but the second half of the season was not great for us. I think with the loss of Bailey Tomlin midway through the season, I think that kind of just threw us into a little bit of a tailspin for a while of us trying to find our identity again. And luckily, I think, the girls did put it together there against Wellston there at the end of the season. So, going into the season, I thought, 14-8, 13-9, 12-10, and we finished 11-11. And I didn't expect to lose a couple games late in the season that we did. But finishing 500, okay, we're there. Let's get this first game of the tournament, so we're guaranteed at least a 500 season, stay above 500. And I think that's going to be our goal. Is just see how far we go. We can ride this now.
You lose 9 seniors last year, and you bring in all this new group, which you went again 9, 10 deep or so, 12 deep, as you were getting more into your rotation. But they're not underclassmen anymore. Only the 2 seniors. Right. Basically, your juniors are now kind of seniors at this point, and you're in the postseason. Of course, we get them back. But what do you need from this group who have had to grow up quickly this year in order to get rid of Ripley, get them out of the way tomorrow night here at home?
I think we're just going to have to come out with a lot of energy. We had a lot of energy in our senior night game, and I think that's really the story of our season. When we come out fired up with a lot of energy, we play great volleyball. But if we come out lethargic and kind of just going through the motions out there. And that's at any team, I feel like. You can't just go through the motions and expect to be successful. On paper, we might look like we're the better team, but if you don't show up and play, then, anything can happen in sports.
Absolutely. Provided you are able to get past Ripley, you'll go to Wellston next Wednesday against Valley, I believe. What will that challenge be like for your team to go on the road to Wellston and take on this other team?
It'll be tough because Valley's a very good volleyball team. We played them last year in the districts, and they were very young then. They're still very young. I think they only have one senior on their team this year, but they've had another year of varsity experience under their belt. They're playing really good volleyball coming down the stretch here. I saw they took out South Webster, which is the number 1 seed in our division. They took them out in 3 sets the other night. So, they're a very young and hungry volleyball team. We're going to have to play really well. I definitely think we're capable of beating Valley, but we're going to have to play really good volleyball to do it.
You've had a run of great postseason success. Going to try and do so again this year. It's going to take that great effort, but we certainly hope you get that best for tomorrow and then move on to next week. And we'll talk to you about it next week after this playoff game here.
Sounds
Coach
good.
Wayne Dicken, Nelsonville-York Volleyball. For over 50 years, locally owned C&J Tax and Financial Services in Nelsonville has been serving the community with hometown care.
We are locally owned. Our focus is on service, and we treat you like family.
My name's Dee Dee Logie, and I'm owner of Pidcock Glass in Nelsonville, Ohio. If your home is in need of 1, 2, or even up to 12 vinyl replacement windows, Pidcock Glass can help. Please call Pidcock Glass at 740-753-4527.
Welcome, everyone, to Coach Speak. I'm Joe Higgins. Alongside me is Coach Rusty Richards of the Nelsonville-York football team. Coach, each week on our broadcast, we have this running joke of pretending to not know who Caleb Layton is because we end up calling his name so many times in the broadcast. I don't think the joke can work anymore, even though we've tried it, because everybody knows who he is now. Another big performance this time against Alexander with 2 touchdowns. What went into the first score where you decided to give him the rock?
The week before versus Wellston, he just came up on, I don't know if it was Wednesday, and said, "Coach, you need to let me run the ball." He goes, "How about if I get 2 sacks tonight or Friday night, you give me a touchdown. Let me give me a carry." And I said, "How about 3?" So then he came back the next day and said, "Coach, I've been thinking that 3 sacks is a lot in one game. I've got like 7 in 6 games." He was doing the math, and I'm like, "You heard what I said, 3, and I'll think about it." So I thought about it over the weekend, and I'm thinking, well, how can I get him the ball without putting him up a tailback, and everybody in the stadium knows he's going to get it. So I dug that play out of, back when I was about 11 and 12, and Dad coaches in youth football. So I don't want to show my age, but it was about 37, 38 years ago. It's the last time I've seen that play ran. So I thought if we put him out there at tackle and run like a tackle around, no one will know he's getting the ball, and it might be a little more surprise. So, and as being his fast, I wanted to get him away from all the big guys. Yeah. And he didn't disappoint, and he can run it. So
he showed that stride, didn't he?
Yeah, we might have to keep that one in the playbook instead of waiting for another 35 years before we run it.
There you go. The second one came after a return fumble caused by a hard hit from Walker Stone. Man, did he lay into that one. The fun part, though, was watching as he just stood there and everybody yelling, and then he realized it and he took off, and then once again, now touchdown number 2. What was your thoughts?
First off, it was a real hard hit by Walker Stone. He played it perfect. He defeated the block.
Clean hit.
Yeah, we give out skull and crossbones for those kind of hits. So, yeah, he definitely earned that one. And the ball was just rolling, and, there was no whistle, so we're screaming, pick it up and run. And, like I just told Caleb right here, we just got done watching film, he might thank Noah Arnold, because Noah Arnold was actually there first and didn't pick it up. So, and then Caleb did pick it up and just stood there, and we're screaming, run. So, yeah, I mean, I think he had a touchdown last year, the year before on a pump block, but that's his first scoop and score on that, and obviously that's his first offensive touchdown in high school. So
2 touchdowns is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool for a guy that's gets his name really for defense. He's everybody in the league knows who he is and tries to figure out ways to block him, and luckily so far not too many teams have figured that out very good.
He's certainly a talent. In addition to that play, your defense came up with 3 interceptions in this game, 2 by Alec Thompson, 1 by Holden Hodgson. Those are also key receivers for you. Is that why they were able to track the ball so well? They're just used to that ball being in the air.
Yeah, Alec's been back there for 4 years starting for us. This is Holden's second year back at safety. And it's funny, we had just moved Holden up to outside linebacker to play that play. And just wanted to try to do some different things, get him some work in there. Just in case somebody, would due to injury or something, we would need him up there. Because he's a tough kid, wrestler. They both got great hands. And, it's just studying film and when you stay back and keep the ball in front of you, usually good things happen as a defensive back. And the best part about Alec, both his interceptions was not only did he intercept it, but he went up and got it at his highest point.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't wait till it came down to his waist. And
then even for Hodson, he had to dive down low to pull that one out. So. Offensively, more hard runs from Dakota Cunningham, more explosive plays from Austin Gautier and Walker Stone. It was apparent, though, that you were going to the air more in this game. Was that something by design, or did it present itself during the contest?
Yeah, a little bit of both. Things we just wanted to work on for one. Also, they were putting a lot of people inside trying to stop our run, which that's what I would do also.
Yeah.
And we liked our matchups on the outside. So, but a lot of it was just again, we put a package in last week. We put a little diamond package in for Grant at quarterback. Cam's still on the field, so we gave him a series and we just stayed in that. So again, a lot of it's just wanting to work on things, and again, we like some matchups on the outside, and we got to get these guys ready because somewhere along someone's going to, force us to throw kind of thing. We got to be able to do it. So little by little, just trying to throw the ball a little bit more to get ready for, week 10 in the playoffs.
With the passes, you had some untimely penalties to clean up in this one. One that took points off the board on the passing side of things. So I guess that's kind of the point, is to work through it. They were calling a little closer than normal, but how do you address that for your team?
I told them tonight, with the films, I added it up. We had punt return, we had holding, we had the Alex touchdown called back. We lost 150 yards on those penalties. So I don't care how many we had, but I said, guys, you think we're going to win if we do that against Athens? You think we're going to do that week 11 or 12 in the playoffs? So we got to clean up some of those things. There was a couple I'm not sure after watching film, but then as you're watching the film, there's a couple we should have been called for a couple more holding penalties. So it probably would have balanced itself out. But yeah, we just got to keep our hands inside, and but it's just these holding penalties. It seems, I don't know, they're going to end up costing us big. So we keep stressing it, and we're getting our hands outside instead of keeping them inside on the numbers, and I think that's what's leading to a few of these. But yeah, they were calling them a little more pickier than what we're used to. But hey, you got to adjust. It's like basketball, right? They're going to start calling touchy fouls. You change the way you play defense that week, until you get different officials.
This week you got senior night against Benton County. We'll go through all the seniors at the end of the season, hopefully many weeks down the line.
Yeah.
But for now, what does this night mean for you and for your seniors?
Well, you always want to send them out because, you're always going to remember your last time in Ben Wagner, last time on Boston Field. Yeah. So we want to send them out with a win. And obviously, with the way the season's going, we need to win that one to, stay in the TVC hunt for the championship. But again, just send them out here one more time on Boston Field. Now, with a win this week, we're going to clinch a home game either way, whether it's week 11 or week 12. But it's still not, that's a little different. We want so. And that would keep us perfect at home for this year. So it's always nice. But yeah, just send these guys out right. Let them get through all the stuff at the beginning with their poster boards and all that stuff the moms do nowadays. And, just that last memory, at least win the last one here. Because, in the playoffs, sometimes you meet in the middle and all those things. But you can always revert back to that last win on Boston Field.
Well, another chance this week to go 1-0. This time Benton County coming in. We'll let you get to that game with senior night. Send them out hopefully on a victory also. And then we'll check back in with you next week before Athens.
Sounds good, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for coming.
Has your provider network changed? Are you new to Medicare? Have questions? We have answers. Remember, our meeting together is free of charge. The insurance company pays me, not you.
Give David Logie a call today, 753-3376.
Tri-County Career Center helps students build real skills for real careers. High school juniors and seniors can jumpstart their futures with hands-on training in healthcare, construction, media, and more. Visit tricounty.cc today. Welcome back, everyone, to Coach Speak. I'm Joe Higgins, and with me are the coaches Yingers, Collin and Matt, joining us here for cross country. Guys, let's jump right into it with how the league race went this past week.
Go ahead, Collin. I'll let him take over. He kind of knows it a little better than I do.
So we end up fourth in the TVC Ohio division this week out of the 7 teams. So kind of where we talked last week and where I thought we end up losing to River Valley by 12 points. So and our average time was 20 seconds slower. So we ended up getting kind of close to beating them, but just weren't quite there, which I kind of thought. They had their number one runner was second in the league, and the coach's kid, he's pretty fast. And so when you have someone that on the top end of the scale on placing wise, it's just really hard to beat a team when they're that high up. But kind of where I thought we were and raced pretty well.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with him. I mean, it's nice because we've made strides. The one thing we talked about afterwards, we were disappointed. We didn't feel like we did our best, but we did well. But now there's expectations, so that's why there's disappointment. Sure. And it's, the last couple of years was kind of like, hopefully we get there. But now we really see that we are getting there. And so there's still a little disappointment again this week because, we want everybody to max out. And then you're running with 5 different high school boys. Not everyone's going to have their best day. At least they haven't yet. Right. I thought it went well too. But there's still more out there.
So we've talked in the past about Stevie Blair and him kind of leading the way in terms of your pacing for this. How did he and everybody else finish? How did the team do as a whole?
So Stevie ended up 9th, which is kind of where I wouldn't say maybe even disappointment. I think the word this weekend would have maybe been frustration, where it kind of kicked in. And running in general, you have a lot of frustration because it's hard in a way, like we've talked about it like last week. It's not like football where you call plays and we go, okay, we're down 8 with the drive to go. We're down 7 with one drive to go. Let's go punch this ball in, go for 2 and win the game, or this, that, or the other, right? When you got there on the cross-country course, you kind of, the pace you're at after about a mile and a half in, you obviously fatigue starts to set in, and kind of where you're at, it's hard to make up big ground. And so he needed top 7 to get all league honors. He ended up 9th. And that was obviously frustrating for him. I know he wasn't, super happy with it. Honestly, in hindsight, it's still a good race. It was actually the highest finish in school history, I believe, in the TVC race at 9th. I think he had it last year at 10th, and he broke it this year getting 9th. Nice. So it's improvement. And then Colin McKinney was, I think, the first time for him this year being second on our team and broke his PR again by 30 seconds. And he looked really strong, especially with it being a more tough course. There's some spots out in the woods where they really couldn't do much passing, and he looked great, and I'm hoping for him to continue to build on it going into this next week. And then Raiden Boney, who I kind of need to coin the nickname for him, Mr. Consistent. His times, I think, have varied 15 seconds all year long. It's been like 20:30 to 20:45 all year long, and he was 20:28, so he actually broke the 20:30 barrier and got his PR barely. But that's what you got to have. Like we said, there's some guys that have been, times got faster and then slower. He's been consistent. We've known what to expect from Raiden, which is you got to have a guy like that. And then Noah Van Dyke ended up 4th on our team. And again, points been our second best runner. So he fell back a little bit, but it sounds like he was feeling a little bit of hip pain throughout the race. And then Derek Mason ended up 5th for us, and he's about right where he's been for us. So that's kind of, when you break it down, it's kind of where we maybe expected it. A couple spots here and there, but yeah.
So, you got a couple PRs in there, 30 seconds. That's huge to bust that far.
Yeah, and he's been knocking about 30 seconds off the last, 2 or 3 races. He was like at 23 minutes, then down to 22, then I think like 21 or something, and now 20, down to 20, almost even 20:04.
Yeah, that's awesome. So with that, though, you've got districts coming up at Rio. Does that give everybody a little bit of hope to continue to kind of put their best foot forward? I guess no pun intended there in terms of this race.
We obviously all talked, and it's like Stevie's, I think, a little bit frustrated. And, I don't think, honestly, anybody's ever content. Running's hard, especially after you're done with a race like that, because you have, that kind of euphoric feeling that's hard to describe unless you obviously consistently race like that, especially at some of the paces they're running, like Stevie. Your body, you're just drained at the end of the races. So it's kind of hard to really think and, to let yourself come to terms with things. But I told him the one thing is we got to just move on. It's up to next week now, The season ain't over. We got, a whole new race next week. Everyone's starting at, we call it the cross-country box, right? Everyone's starting the box at the same time, at whatever time we race this weekend, 12:45. So we have the opportunity to beat anybody that we, lost to this past weekend, which is great. And I think, obviously, guys kind of know what we got to work on. And we're going to talk about a few things tonight at practice, and I think just, having the belief in themselves is the biggest thing. We've trained our butts off, and I think they know that. I hope they do at least, running almost 30 miles a week consistently for 3 months. You got to realize they put in a lot of work. Now it's time we hopefully get the results we want. And if not, that's kind of sports, and we'll continue to, hey, it is what it is, and we'll move on.
And then I want to add to that with just, you talked about earlier, you have expectations. What are the expectations for your district races here, and what does the successes you kind of had for this far for the season, how do you feel like that inspires the kids to run harder, to run better, and for the future?
Well, one of the things we've talked about, first of all, we've never had a boy all league, and that still didn't happen, which, not that they didn't do their best, we did, and we gave it all we had, we just come up short. We've never had a regional qualifier in the boys event. So this weekend, we feel pretty confident that we can have Stevie has a great shot at that if he just runs a good, solid race. There's a couple other guys now, Colin McKinney, knocking on the door with his time this weekend. We feel like Noah Van Dyke, he's right there. The time that Derek Mason ran last year would probably get him in this year. Wow. So if Derek could find that, and then Raiden, like he said, Mr. Consistency, maybe he gets out and has a fast race. I mean, I honestly, I think all, the 5 guys, Derek is going to be really tough, but 4 of them, I think, can push to make he possibly be, not go from just our first regional qualifier, but maybe we have 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, maybe the whole team makes it, right, because we're kind of close right there as a team too. When we look at the statistics and the times that teams have ran all year, again, like we were just talking though, before you got in here, it's not a given. So, just because those are the times and that's what we've done, and our expectations again are that we'll get somebody there, but that doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's going to happen. And we have to have our best day Saturday, and that's each and every one. They're going to have to dig deep, and I know I'm going to be a little more intense and push them, because now each race can be your last of the year. And these kids are good enough and they've worked hard enough that they deserve that opportunity to move on. But they've got to start believing in themselves. We're not a joke of a cross-country team anymore. Right. There for a while it was just kind of like, we're going to go out and do whatever.
Something to do.
Yeah, something to do. It's not that. We're there to perform and compete at a high level now. And we're not at the level we want to be at, but we're building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, to kind of take a little bit of pressure off me, kind of the thing we're going to talk about tonight, it's my expectations, the same thing I've had all year long. Go out there and run as hard as you can. They know their paces. We've trained. The way we set up our training, we've talked about it on here before, is, we do things on the track that, hey, this is your pace, you've been running races. We scale their runs off that pace. So they've trained at their paces all year long. So, again, our expectations, run the pace you've been running. And then the big thing is this week, believe in yourself and having that positive mindset. Hey, I'm out at mile 1. Maybe I'm not quite at my pace, or even I'm a little bit ahead. Not that I'm going to get tired now because I'm a little bit ahead. I can stay with this. I'm going to finish this 3-mile race strong. And whenever, the dust settles, I can go home and be proud of myself and say, hey, I had pride in it. I ran as hard as I could, left everything out there on the course, and there's nothing else to it. And if we can do that at the end of the day, and it's kind of how they finished last year. Stevie was very close last year qualifying for the regionals, but he ran a crazy great race there last year. Just it didn't happen, missed it by a few spots, and we moved on, and he, he realized, hey, nothing more we could do. And that's kind of how sports works, right? You kind of give it your all, and if it doesn't happen that day, it doesn't happen.
And we just want to have fun this weekend. Go and have fun. Stop and get something to eat on the way back. Reflect on the race. And like he said, and he's exactly right. As long as we do our best and we have a positive attitude, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
And we'll all do great.
Well, best of luck, coaches, for this week. And hopefully we get some people in the regionals, and we'll talk more about that next week.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.